Are you irritable, angry, exhausted, can't sleep at night, frustrated, hopeless because you don't see any end in sight? Well, if that's you, good news. You're suffering from caregiver burnout. And on this episode of Life Under Deborah's Palm, the Dementia Road, we're going to discuss caregiver burnout, what's contributing to it, and how to deal with it. Stay tuned. Caregiver burnout, it is like a guaranteed thing with dementia. How can it not be? The stress is like immeasurable. You think you're going to get up and have a quiet day or a productive day. You know what you're going to do. You have it planned out. But you have someone in your house that has dementia, and now you got up and you have a mess to pick up, and they're acting very erratic or angry that day. And whatever you planned isn't going to happen. Or it's you just don't even want to do it anymore. One of the two. Something's going to give. The experts have all the answers. They tell you to make sure you do self-care. You know, exercise, take time to go for a walk, do some breathing, make time for yourself. And I question if those people have ever taken care of a mid to late stage dementia person, because I'm guessing they probably haven't, because you're not going to be able to do that unless you have somebody that's going to come in and help you. But if you don't, that's where you're at, and that's a hard place to be. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about other things that contribute to the burnout that people don't always talk about, and that's other members of the family that put more stress on you, and how to kind of get yourself out from under some of that stuff and how to deal with it. If you're new to the caretaker journey, you have a chance of getting ahead of the curve, okay? You need to plan, you need to understand, and you need to live in reality. The disease is a slow creep, and so what ends up happening a lot of times is we take on responsibility that doesn't seem that bad in the beginning, but it's slow, and they slowly need more of your time and more of your efforts, and their behavior gets worse and their problems get worse, and it's a slow thing. One of the questions to ask yourself, and you're going to have to answer some of these questions really honestly. If you are going to live with somebody with dementia, assuming it's not your spouse, maybe it's a parent that you're considering living with one way or another, moving them in or living with them, will your caretaking make them better? Will they get better? Yes or no? If you think yes, you're not in reality. And initially when you move them in, you may find that they do perk up and they do get a bit better. They're probably getting better nutrition and they have people around, but it won't last for long. The disease is degenerative and it ends in death. How many years will you be taking care of them? I read where the experts say it's a 5 to 12 year span. But I'll be honest with you, my mother-in-law was in assisted living with people who had lived 20 or more years with the disease, especially when it's early onset or if they really don't have any other medical issues. My mother-in-law was in assisted living for 7 years. I think 7 years total, but she had easily had that disease 5, 6, 7, 8 years or more before she got to that point. It gets hard, and what are you going to do with that? The experts' ideas of breathing and exercising and taking care of yourself and I gotta be honest, I don't see where it works. I don't even see how it's possible in some cases. If you're home all day with a person with dementia and they really can't be left alone, when are you going to go out and have time to yourself? When are you going to go to lunch or the grocery store or wherever you need to go without them? When are you going to go take a walk and be able to leave them home alone? I don't know as that's really possible. And the truth of the matter is, I went through that. My mom, as you know, didn't live with me, but while we were waiting to get her into a facility, my husband and I went on vacation for a couple of weeks, and my brother came up and hung out with my mom. It was great. It was awesome being on vacation, no responsibility. I didn't have to worry about anything. And I felt great when I got home. That lasted about a week, truthfully, because your situation hasn't changed. You're still in the same spot you were in before. It was great to get a break, but it didn't change the situation. I didn't come home to anything new. You really need to understand the disease and how it could twist and turn. If you have never joined a Facebook group, you could do that. You will see a bunch of people that struggle day to day, that totally lose their, you know what, on their loved ones because they can't take it anymore. It's a very hard thing to do. That being said, it's not undoable. And for those of you who are just the caretakers and you're very good at it, trust me, you have a gift that not everyone has. And that's something really important to keep in mind. Not everybody is meant to be a caretaker. It's just not in them in that capacity. That's why we're all not in the medical field. Trust me, you do not ever want to see me even coming at you with the blood pressure cuff. I don't like it. I don't like any of it. And diapers and things like that are beyond my capacity, and I know that. And it's okay. You have to be okay. There's another stressor that comes into that sometimes makes things seem not okay. That is the pressure from others, especially when it comes to parents. We went through that. We're the only ones that live near our parents, and there were certain siblings that wanted us to do everything, and it wasn't going to happen. You're going to have to make boundaries, and you're going to have to hold those boundaries, regardless of what your siblings say to you, regardless of what the person with dementia says to you. It can be real hard. We went through that, but we already knew what we couldn't do. We had a sibling who said to us, "Oh, I think you should put an addition on your house so you can move them in with you." No, we're not putting an addition on our house. We had a dementia patient taking care of a dementia patient, and now you think we're going to stop our lives to try to take care of two of them at the same time and put an addition on our house? Are you out of your freaking mind? That's pretty much what we said. So then we turned around very nicely and said, well, you have a really big house and you don't even need to put an addition on. They could live with you. Hear that? It's crickets chirping. Because what you find out is those who want to put the demands on you very often are not willing to do that themselves. We also said, go ahead and look where you live. Let us know how that works. No one gets back to you. Want to know why? They're not willing to do it, but they want to put the pressure on you to do it, and you are going to have to learn the most powerful word in the English language. No. No, I'm not putting an addition on. No, they're not living with me. No, I'm not willing to give up the next 5, 10, 15 years of my life. I'm not willing to give up my retirement account that I'm working on for myself. I'm not willing to give up things I want to do with my family. This isn't a disease like any other disease. There really isn't a time frame on it. Their brain doesn't work. It's not like having a frail elderly person that can basically make decisions even if it's difficult for them physically. Mentally, they know what they're doing. This disease isn't like that. If you are asked to take care of a parent and you do not have the power of attorney, and the person who has the power of attorney is a long ways away, I'm telling you, I hate to say this, be very careful about that. We had a lawyer tell us the person who's taking care of them is getting the power of attorney because it's almost impossible. Same with your medical stuff. It's very difficult. And this may not seem like this is a caregiver burnout video. It really is. All these things will contribute to your anger and frustration more than you realize. And then throw in the actual caretaking of the person. It's really hard. And when you get pressure from all sides, it just makes everything worse. Whoever holds the POA has to deal with it. That's it. It's pretty simple. And if you already are taking care of someone and you have just got to the point where you really are you're toast and you don't know what to do with yourself anymore, there are options. If you are having issues with not having any time to yourself and just being too hard to take care of the house and take care of the person, the reality is there are companies that will come in for however many hours a day that you want them in for. There are day facilities. And if you say, I can't afford that, or not I, but the person, whoever's got the dementia, that they can't afford that, they can afford it. There are ways to afford that. There is Medicaid, and if you think they make too much or too little, you don't understand the Medicaid system, and you really need to talk to somebody. Sometimes the business office of the place can help you. Other times you may have to just find somebody that works with Medicaid. If they make too much, there's ways to deal with it. If they make too little, there's ways to deal with it so that you can get the help that you need. And if you are not willing to let somebody else help you, that especially if you don't know them and they're not family, then you aren't going to get out from under your burnout. You're just not. It's always going to be there. You can get people that will come in and help you with your laundry and things of that nature if they're living with you. They are all possibilities. You can put them in assisted living, and I know that's real hard for people, but if you are so frustrated and angry and your health is suffering and your family is hiding in the basement because they can't deal with it anymore, you've got a problem. And it's kind of hard, I think, with our parents because they were the ones who told us what to do our whole lives and, till we grew up anyways. And they took care of us, and we do want to take care of them. But there's also a boundary line. You're gonna have to decide what you really can and can't do and what your family can and can't take. You're not only going to be taking care of them, you're going to have your family going, can't do this, can't stand this, and everyone's hiding out on you. It does happen that way. You may not like the idea of it, but I will tell you the advice that actually a pharmacist gave to me. I was picking up my mom's meds one day, and she knew my mom pretty well and asked how she was doing, and I told her the situation, and she said to me, do you think it's time for assisted living? And I kind of went, well, it was getting there. And she said, you know something? Assisted living isn't the worst thing in the world. You will get to enjoy your mother instead of taking care of her all the time. And it was true. I never enjoyed my mom. I didn't want to go do some of the things that she liked to do because I had already been doing everything else, grocery shopping and taking care of the bills, making sure everything was all set, calling doctors and running her to doctors. And I didn't want to do anything fun with her because I was already toast on top of working, having my own business, having my own house, and slowly I had no life. And it was really true when I put her in. Now we go get ice cream and go visit and go do all sorts of things. They adjust. It's tough sometimes to find a place. And again, if you think they make too much or they make too little, you aren't understanding the Medicaid system, and you really do need to do that. You can sit and say, but they'll lose all their money. Like maybe they sold a house and maybe they have investments and things of that nature, insurance policies. And the truth of the matter is, yes, if they didn't plan right years ago, they will lose that money. But here's the thing, whose money is it? It's their money and it's meant for their care. And if you have siblings, if it's a parent and your siblings are like, you're wasting their money, and come take them to your house and stop worrying about your inheritance. The money was meant for them. They saved it, they earned it, they inherited it, invested it, and everything else. And that money belongs to them and it is for their care. And if you have another sibling who says, I don't want to see them go into a home, we've heard that, and the answer is, let them go into your home. Not being mean, not being rude, don't be nasty when you say it, but there is a reality. I know this may not have been exactly the caretaker burnout video. You were hoping for some magic pill that solved all the problems, but the truth of the matter is you're gonna have to figure out how to get yourself out from under some of these problems. That's all there is to it. Exercise and self-care and all those things, it doesn't end the issue. And the issue is you're going to have to deal with the problem. And the problem is you've gotten to a point where you can't manage the problem anymore on your own. So you're going to have to find some options. And if the person with dementia argues about it and fights with you, and they will, probably, oh well. I went through this with my mother. She had to have help with medication and she didn't want the people coming in her house, and she argued about how she could do it and blah, blah, blah. And I said to her, Mom, I need some help. I know you can do this, but I need to get some help in here. You've qualified for things and you have to take something. And so this is what I need you to do. Well, I'm fine. I don't need anybody. I know you're fine, Mom. I know, but I need some help. Stay calm, stay steady. Don't back up. You know, it's kind of like sending kids off somewhere they don't want to go. And usually what happens is they really like it. And if you bring somebody into the house, don't just bring them in and drop them and take off. Hang with Mom for a while, and kind of like when you drop a kid off at kindergarten, slowly back out the door once they get acquainted. Usually they end up doing really fine. And if you need to switch the caregiver that comes in, you know, sometimes everything's not a great match. But that's the best I can offer. You got to get out from under some things. It's really the truth. Even if you don't want to, it's the truth. Sorry. Hope that helps. Probably it will frustrate a few people. Anyways, that's the end of this video. Have a great day.